Hi, this is Lynn from FromOurBookshelf.com, and I am once again wearing my Powell's Books t-shirt. If you, as you can tell, I like this shirt. I wear it in quite a few videos. Today, I wanted to talk about a book I recently finished. Sorry, there's a really bad glare in my glasses today. A book I recently finished, and that is The Last Dance of the Debutante by Julia Kelly. I had to get the author's name right. This was a impulse buy. My husband had a doctor's appointment that was going to take a while, so I dropped him off and I went to the bookstore down the street, which happens to be a Barnes & Noble, and just spent, I don't know, hour and a half browsing. And this was on the new release, or in the new release section. And I did not know Julia Kelly had a new book out last year. I read her book, I think it's called The Last Garden in England, or I think that's right. The title might not be right, but the actually I think I have it on my bookshelf right here. Yes, this is her. Sorry, this is her book that she I think put out last year, the year before last, The Last Garden in England. I read this, really enjoyed it. Did not know she had a new book out, so when I saw this at the bookstore and read what it was about, I instantly knew I had to have it. I read this in just a couple days. I finished it last night. And I've been reading a lot of World War II fiction, and I just needed something different, something less heavy and something set in a different time period, and this was perfect for that. It is about one of the last years of the debutantes in England, and it takes you on the journey of what they went through, getting ready, and the pressure that was put on them by friends and family. But this takes place in the late 50s. I think that's correct, the late 50s. And so it is the last of the debutantes, towards the end of when they did that in England. And so women were becoming more independent. They were going to college. It was becoming the world was changing, and it affected them, and a lot of times their mothers and grandmothers put pressure on them to be debutantes, and yet they were wanting to go to college and have careers and not rush into marriage and a family. So it's kind of that pull that went on during that time frame. And of course, since it's a historical fiction book, there's drama and romance and a little mystery involved, a family secret. So I love Julia Kelly's writing. This took me to a time and place I know very little about. I've read a lot of historical fiction, World War II historical fiction that, of course, is set in all over the world. I have read a lot of historical fiction set in the U.S., but I have not read a lot of historical fiction that's set around the world, and I'm hoping to change that. And this book was perfect because it took me to a time and place I know very little about. I haven't read a lot of historical fiction set in England, other than like cozy mysteries, and I really know nothing about the debutante. So this was a book that kind of got me interested in that. It is fairly clean. I know a lot of readers who like content warnings. I will say it involves the debutante, so there is drinking and partying and things that young adults do. So there is that, but this is very clean. I was surprised that it didn't have more like PG-13 content. I would consider this probably PG. Like I said, there is dancing and partying and that kind of stuff, but I love this. I think Julia Kelly is going to be an auto-buy author for me, which means anything she writes, I will probably read. These are the only two books I've read by her, The Last Garden in England, and then this one, and I have several of her backlist books that I'm hoping to read this summer, possibly on vacation, because I think they make great reads, and I love her writing style. So if you love historical fiction, want something a little bit different, want to learn about the debutantes in England in the 1950s, The Last Dance of the Debutante is an excellent read. For more book reviews, check out FromOurBookshelf.com.